2016, I was one of those people who didn't know any better and just went with what I thought I was supposed to go with. Because for the longest time, you could trust the institutions to do that.
There's a funny dichotomy that's happening generationally right now. Gen Z is more conservative than the millennials.
Yep.
We're in the upside down.
It's the most,
Well,
I never really dove into this, but I'm hearing it more and more, and I'm like, okay, this gives me some hope here. Maybe I can go to the nursing home and survive.
So I think if it makes sense, because if you think about how millennials are, like, I'm a millennial, and
Right.
I put a game over in the chat if you don't know what I mean. If you know how millennials be, then it makes sense the next generation. Like, millennials are cringe as fuck to Zoomers, and I don't blame them. And so any way that they can rebel against us, the old people, they're gonna do. And so some of it is just that. Some of it is just that, like, oh, you're old, and you're old being 30, and we don't want to be like you. But because of the fact that things went so haywire over the last 10 years, that I mean, whether it's kiddies or Zoomers, both of them are like, what is going on? And it just got so crazy that I think people are ready to return back to a center.
Can we please just go home?
That doesn't mean that everybody thinks the same thing. That doesn't mean that everybody lives the same way. And certainly the Zoomers are the ones that have the highest rates of transgender, non-binary, like, so it's not that they're more conservative, but the ones that are fucking gung-ho. Like, millennials, there's not a lot of us that were political in high school. That wasn't really a thing. There was a few kids who were into it, and you might know some stuff. I wasn't into it, so I don't know who was saying what, but it definitely wasn't like a popular thing to be into politics. But by the time the Zoomers were in middle school, that's when Trump is coming down the escalator. That's when, like, that's all there is. So I think there's a rebellion against the old people, being the millennials, and number two, an acknowledgement that some of these bitches be crazy. It really is.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I'm not innocent. In 2016, I was one of those people who didn't know any better and just went with what I thought I was supposed to go with. Because for the longest time, you could trust the institutions to do that.
I remember those days.
And it was just at that time where you had to realize, oh, this is changing. Where I think Zoomers are coming up. There was never a time when Zoomers were even though Trump was around when they were young, there was still a big pushback against Trump in general. So there was always a distrust of the establishment, of the authority, and I think that really is a benefit for the Zoomers. And I don't know if it's going to be Gen Z or if it's going to be Gen Alpha, but they're going to be based as fuck when they're 30. Yeah. I don't know if it's the Zoomers or it's Gen Alpha.
You can't help but root for them.
But 30-year-old Zoomer or 30-year-old Gen Alpha is going to be based as fuck.
There is, I've been saying it, at least in the political context, we are headed for a fascinating end of this political season. And what I'm getting at is this. We are headed for a generational change in our politics.
Once in a lifetime.
I will also argue that we are headed for an ideological change in our politics. And here's what I'm getting at. Regardless of who wins this election, the generation of Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, etc., they're done. They're absolutely done. They know this is it, no matter who wins. What's coming up behind them is a fascinating contrast. On the one side, you have AOC, Rashida Tlaib, younger, more aggressive, strident in their progressivism, if I may use that term. On the other side, you have Vivek Ramaswamy, JD Vance, Josh Hawley.
Those guys are cool.
A younger, more populist, more conservative, and that generational clash is going to define American politics for the next probably 40 years. Because
Yeah.
I mean, and it's going to be fascinating to watch. Because to go to the statement you made about the institutions, we're Democrat, Republican, we've all trusted the institutions. The thing we didn't realize was that the institutions were being corrupted.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it's law enforcement, the Justice Department, the military, education, etc., and so on. And now, to liken the analogy, to go back to the very beginning of a house, well, if you don't take care of the foundations, the rest of it doesn't matter. The thing will crumble under its own weight. And, that's why I think we need to have some wholehearted discussions about, okay, it's not a matter of going in and reforming the institutions. My question is, do you even need them in the first place? Because if you let them stay, they will, even if you reform them in the short term, sooner or later, they will metastasize back to what they were. But if you eliminate them altogether, you don't have that problem.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that clip, check out the full live stream link in the bio and catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you there.